is Rosvita Burris. I work with Oklahoma Department of Human Services, Child Welfare Division, and I have been in permanency planning for almost 4 years now. Permanency planning is working with the families once the children have been removed to place them back at home with their families and work to have successful reunification. The reason why I became a social worker was I love helping people. Prior to becoming a social worker, I was a program coordinator, which I worked with families that took care of children with disabilities. And that wasn't enough hands-on for me. And so with social work, I felt that I would be more involved and more hands-on. And I like helping people, so that's what led me to do social work, being able to know that I can help a family and help them achieve a goal is one of the reasons why I decided to do social work. The biggest challenges for me would be one, time management, because you have so much you have to do as far as being a social worker. Not only the paper aspect part of it, but just transporting, making sure kids get to the doctor's appointments, making sure that you get to court and you get your reports in on time. So time management is one part, and then another one for me is realizing that I might not be able to help every family. That's a struggle, because whatever family you work with, you always want to see them succeed, and that's not always the case. So being able to accept failure at times and knowing that you've done your best, that's in my field, it kind of varies. We don't get cases by age or whatever, so you might get a case with a family that has an infant and a 16-year-old. So it kind of varies. Since being there, like I said, it's kind of fluctuated between infants. I had a time where I had a lot of teenagers, and now I think only the oldest I have is a 15-year-old, and the rest of them are like under 5. So I mean, it just depends on that. Yeah, it just varies.
What problems do you see the most?
I guess the main problems with the ones that I've run into are ones who have been neglected and mistreated, so they don't know how to trust, so they're not very open to accepting help. They're more amped to thinking that everyone is kind of out to get them, and just trying to get them to open up and understand that I'm there to help them and I'm there to try to make things better, and not to always see adults as more how can I put it? Just not see adults as just being someone who's trying to control them and trying to just boss them around. And most of the teenagers that I've worked with in care have problems with going AWOL. Whenever you try to find them a place, a lot of them, they will, the older they are, sometimes they will self-sabotage whatever you're trying to do for them, because they're used to just being able just to run free and do whatever. So it's hard to get them to do with structure. My case has been more girls, because I hadn't had any juvenile boys on my caseload. That's kind of strange in 4 years. So it's girls. The last couple that I have been girls. So with me, it's girls. I mean, it's different. It varies for different people, but with me so far, I hadn't had to deal with any juvenile boys. It's mostly getting them to not run to the first male figure that shows them attention. With most of the juvenile girls I've had, that's been one of the main problems. The first guy that shows them attention, this is who they want to be with. This is where they go to, so they start having acting out sexually, going AWOL, getting into drugs, because those are the things that the person that they're trying to be with is influenced them to do. So it's mostly becoming very sexually active and just going AWOL to run off with males that they really don't know much about, just to kind of feel loved, type of situation. I think Guthrie Job Corps is a good place, especially for juveniles in general, who are having a hard time getting a balance in a structured home. They're there. They can go there, and it gives them the structure, but it gives them a little bit more freedom, and they're able to learn a trade. Ones who have a difficult time with school, it helps them with there because they don't have to go to a school all day long from 8 to 3 or 8 to 4, and they can go there and still get the education and get their high school diploma. So one of the girls on my caseload in particular, she was always going AWOL. She wasn't doing well in school. She was struggling with authority in school, getting into fights. And so Job Corps was one of the places that we went, and she was able to get her high school diploma and pick up a trade and do all these things that probably if we would try to force her to continue in school, it would have led her to become more defiant and kind of push back more. So that has been, I feel, is a good place that helps some of the juveniles who are having problems in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
With an open mind, I realize that no case is the same, no family dynamics are the same. So I go into every case like as an individual, seeing that they are an individual. I don't look at it as try to use the same things that work with my previous family with another family, and I pretty much just go by some of the guidelines that they have set, some of the expectations that my families have set that they're wanting to work on, and I keep all my families involved. It's not just about me doing the work, but about us doing the work as a whole. So that's the kind of system that I use when dealing with the families. Well, the most recent one, I had a family, it was a severe domestic violence. It was with a young mother who wasn't from here. She had come here when she was like, I want to say 18 or 17. And the guy that, when she got here that she was with, she had never worked a job. She didn't know how to drive. She didn't have anything, and she had 4 young kids. And so we were able to work with her, and about time her children went back home, she found her own place. She had got a job and had been working there for over a year before the kids went back home. She had got her license, she had got her own car, and she had learned to reach out and find other supports in a community that was like with her church and different things to help her get better. Because being that the only person that she ever knew was the only person that she ever knew here was the abuser in his family. So just seeing someone come from not having any type of support besides the support from an abuser, and seeing her be able to work her way up to leave him and to get a job and to get a home on her own and to do all these things with no family, just do this on her own to get her children's back, was, I feel that was one of the most happiest moments of seeing 4 kids get to go back home with a mom who's overcome a lot to get her kids back. How attached you can become, how emotional draining it is, because it's easier said than done. That kind of depends. We do get assigned cases. It usually goes to our supervisor, and most of the time the supervisor, well, with my supervisor, she's kind of open. There for a while I was getting a lot of Hispanic speaking client cases, and I can't speak Spanish, so with that it takes a lot of work, because you have to always have translators and things present and get court reports translated into Spanish. So sometimes they're willing to work with you, like if there's another case coming up, because we had another case that was coming up with it, and I kind of went to her, I was like, I think it's somebody else's turn to get one that's going to require that. So a lot of times they're open, but on most part we don't get to say, hey, this case has 5 kids, I don't want that case, I think it has to go. It has to be like a real reason, like either your caseload is too high or things like that, to have a real reason of why you get to choose not to take it. So it's all about kind of just being able to talk to your supervisor, but most of the time it's just assigned and then assigned out, unless there's some extra circumstances that kind of play in it. Make sure that you're getting into it for the right reasons. Social work field is for people who like to help people, and to make sure that you're emotionally and mentally prepared for this field. It's not an easy field. Like I was stating before, you can't just walk in and just expect to change everyone. So also being able to accept the good with the bad, and knowing that there might be a family that you're able to help, and then again there might be a family that you're not able to, and always placing your families first. It's not about you, it's about the family. It's hard to place a juvenile period. I won't even say even as far as them like having any type of delinquent issues or being in any type of criminal trouble. But as far as juveniles, it's hard. Most foster families want little bitty kids, because most juveniles come with the baggage of the bad attitude, don't want to be there, kind of want to do their own thing. So it's hard. Be honest, most of the juveniles that I've had have not been placed in foster homes. They're either been in group homes or the one that I placed at Guthrie Job Corps. For the ones that I've had that's been like 15 and, well, I won't say 15, but 13 and older haven't been in foster homes, unless it was a kinship. And then within the couple that I had in kinship, end up getting put out and end up being in a shelter or a group home. Not mine in particular, but other of my coworkers that's in the group, one of hers who he got a lot of trouble while he was in care, and then when he actually turned 18, he turned 18 in a facility, and then was going to be switched over to the county jail.